You know that you are in a toxic interpersonal environment when observations and questions are perceived as threatening. What do we do when our curious inquiries are perceived as a threat? We may first ask ourselves this question: am I in immediate danger? If your curious questions have sparked violent opposition and you have a clear path of escape, you may walk or run away. This may sound obvious and simple, but not always. Oftentimes, our very livelihood depends on us returning to the environments in question. For instance, we may be in a relationship in which we are emotionally or financially dependent or interdependent on the other for the basics: food, shelter, human companionship. Our work environment, perhaps. Religious institutions are another place where this may occur. The joy that we experience in our curiosity may not be shared, even by people who say they love us. This can be painful and confusing, especially when we don't understand what is going on. It's going to be okay. You're okay. You were probably told that our culture values education. Be cool, stay in school, stuff like that. But that's not quite true, is it? There are different kinds of educations. Cog training is the type of education which trains people to be functioning pieces in a machine. Cog training serves the upper classes by keeping the lower classes in their slave wage roles. A true education is threatening to our caste systems, or what we might call the status quo. You see, there is an order to things. True intelligence and the curious questions which arise from that true intelligence are threatening to the existing power structures. Our curiosity may eventually help us to identify these power structures on the micro and macro levels. When we bring our awareness or presence to these power structures, we may be identified as a threat. That's normal. We may have been born into a family in which our intelligence is perceived as threatening. Our growing curiosity and intelligence may become threatening in our intimate partners. Our inquiries may not be welcome in church buildings. It can be very confusing and painful when our intelligent curiosity begins to upset the unspoken societal contracts that we have unconsciously agreed to. Freeing ourselves from these restricting relationships can be quite challenging. A life's work, no doubt. In Christian churches, for example, we are introduced to a revolutionary figure that we named Jesus. Jesus was persecuted by both the church and the state. Great crowds of people gathered around this man whose mission was to awaken our minds to the truth. Jesus was a very creative, intelligent, and curious man, a passionate storyteller. In his presence, people began to wake up to the true nature of reality. This was unacceptable to the church and the state, so he was executed. And so it goes, as Kurt Vonnegut said. And so it goes. That revolutionary spirit of Christ is still alive today. And now the Christian church is one of those institutions which crucifies those who embody that spirit. Isn't that just tragically poetic? It's the problem with what we might call the white man's Jesus. Very early in the history of Christianity, the memory of Jesus was appropriated by empire. And that appropriated image still serves violent empire today. The name Jesus is made up, a translation of a name that might have been closer to a sound like this: Yeshua, Yeshua. Also, there was a man who was born almost 500 years before Jesus who was also killed for being very creative with his inquiries into human nature. His name was Socrates. Interesting note, Socrates, like Yeshua, did not write down his teachings. Do not despair. You are in good company, my friend. Oftentimes, even those people who were able to see the value in Yeshua's life tried to force him into their own paradigm. It's very common. We want to employ our creative powers to do our own selfish will. It is from these violent depths which genocide and slavery emerged in our species. Did you know that there once were other species of bipedal creatures on Earth? Where did they go? It's very possible that we may have killed them. I mention this because it might be helpful at this point in our conscious involution that we see ourselves for who we are. We are the apex predators who are killing all the other creatures on our planet. Europeans did not invent genocide and slavery. Genocide and slavery are Homo sapien inventions. It's all very understandable, as you can see, and I'm certainly not mentioning this so that we can beat ourselves up about it, but I do believe that it is a very functional understanding to add to our collective consciousness for a time such as this. If we can come to understand the most recent iterations of genocide and slavery as a we problem, then we can transcend our binary nature. You see, we have no creative future when we identify as colonized and colonizer, victims, victimizers. We must rise above the ignorance into which we were born. We must not allow anyone to force us into the roles of either oppressor or oppressed. We must see ourselves as one people. Together, we must discover our true heart. Our healing intentions honor our ancestors, our descendants, and all those other forms who are no longer with us. There is a great dream. In this dream, there are multitudes of depth tribes. These depth tribes function autonomously as organisms. These organisms, depth tribes, are capable of working together with other depth tribes. As primates, we need the connectedness and purpose that a tribe brings. Our tribes must carry the inclusive wisdom that we abandoned with the advent of civilization. Strengthening a tribe member deepens a tribe. Depth tribes feed the world. We are together, discovering our common work. Do not despair. The great intelligence which is now arising in you has purpose. Educate yourself with the greatest of intention. We are not alone. Do not fear. Help is coming. Help is here. Labor and the expression of worth. Everybody goes through these times. Everybody hears the voice of fear sometimes. Don't you let it take a hold of you. You just keep running right on through, leaving behind what you got to leave behind and moving into what you've got to move into. It's been quite a time, hasn't it? Some of us are transitioning, right? We're transitioning in many different ways, and we're discovering, many of us, that these transitions are not quite what we expected they would be, and that no matter what transition we make, we're having to deal with our deepest hurts and our deepest pains. We're getting to the bottom of things, my friends. Come on. We are together, discovering our common work. Depth tribes feed the world. Strengthening a tribe member, an individual, that strengthens a depth tribe. And as we strengthen a tribe, we're strengthening the whole. Come on. Here we go.